American Timelines is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network. Find out more at queencitypodcastnetwork.com.
So now I'm obsessed with time. Come on, tell me about the time. Had it all in my hand tonight. Had the time of my life. When the words all come down like blues on Tuesdays come down. Throw it all away. Throw it all
Most amazing thing that ever happened to us was that you got us the gig at the Fillmore interviewing Phil Rosenthal from Somebody Feed Phil. A bat flew in through his open window at night, and they were born with a deformity to their hands where they basically have like lobster claws.
Oh.
Still drinks beer, grab smokes weed, asking Facebook friends, who do you really be? High school mascots.
Why be afraid of ambiguity when it just means that there are new opportunities and you can be open-minded and say, instead of, oh no, something went wrong, it's like, oh yes, now I get to come up with something new.
Memories we hold dear, but deep down inside, are we truly friends, my dear? We chat and laugh, sharing our daily lives, but do we really know what's behind our smiles? Status updates and posts, a digital facade. Can we break through the surface and find the real squad? It's the friend check. Let's go deep and explore. Let's open the friendship door.
But hello.
How are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Abigail Elfman. Hello.
Joe, hi, how are you?
How are you?
I'm great. Who was our friend Steve?
This is my buddy Gruff, otherwise known as Steve Bishop.
Hello.
He is my co-host here, and so what we're doing
More of
is
an Ed McMahon than an Andy Richter.
Got it.
Okay,
Yeah.
more of an okay, gotcha. So yeah, we have known each other since the second grade.
Oh, wow.
When we became best buds. He's back in Ohio, in his bunker. He likes weed, and he wears a kilt.
Cool.
Has a Prince Albert. You used to have a Prince Albert. No more
Well,
Prince Albert.
I don't wear the jewelry anymore in general.
Yeah, I heard. I feel like age might have, like, I think those are the things that we do when we're young, and then it's just like, oh, gravity has something to say about that.
And it was just like, that's fine.
Yes. So he's
Lower
another
maintenance.
middle-aged guy. But so what we're doing here, it's the Friend Check podcast. It's Friend Check. American Timeline's the Friend Check. I don't know what it's going to be called.
Dig it.
But yeah,
Workshop it.
yeah. So I go through, I went one day, I looked at my Facebook thing, and I was like, who are all these people? I have, I don't know, 1,400 some odd friends that I used to be very vigilant about only accepting people I knew and I interacted with. I think I've still kept to that. However,
That's a humble brag. It's just like, I just happen to know that many people pretty well.
not knowing them well, but at least meeting them and saying,
Sure.
oh, I have a reason to be connected to you. Like we
Sure,
might work
fair.
together, or I've met you and I like you. Like if it's just some guy in the elevator, I'm not going to. But I've also lived a lot of different places, and some are from high school, some are from college, some are people I had to work together. But there's several people that have friended me that I'm aware of them, but we've never really interacted. And I feel weird about that. So that made me think, I want to see what other people think. Like, how do you use social? Some people might just add everybody.
Yeah.
And maybe using it as an influencer thing, which I'm not doing. But so I don't know. 1,400 does seem like a lot, but I don't think it's a lot when you look. A lot of people have.
I want to look at how many
A
I
lot
have
more.
while we're doing this. Hold on,
Yeah.
let's see. And do you play this game? This is what I do and what I found with social media over time is that I'll be scrolling through Facebook and there'll be a picture and I'll go, I'm not going to look at the name of who posted this, and I'm going to try and figure out who in this group picture I actually know. And
Yes.
90% of the time, I have no fucking clue. I'm
Yes.
just like, who?
Yeah.
And then I'll look and it's like a family member tagged someone who's not even in the picture. And I'm just like,
Right, because so that's what it's changing somehow now. What you can see, like now, I see things that it might just be a friend likes this. That's why you're seeing a friend
Yeah.
likes this soup, and so that's why you're seeing it. So I'm like, it's getting weird, so it's hard to keep
Right.
up. But that exact thing, what you just said, is kind of what started this. Like sometimes I'll be like, I'm gonna just try to guess who the fuck I even know in this picture. I don't recognize any of these people. And then like, did somebody change? Is that somebody I don't know that well? So I decided I'm gonna go through and just alphabetically, because the one other way to just force yourself to go, that's where we're in the A's.
I dig it. AB right here.
But I've already kind of looked through, so I've kind of glanced forward, and I've seen some future uncomfortable conversations I'm going to have with people. Like, I know there's a guy like Adel Rafai is my friend on Facebook.
Yeah.
You probably know Adel, right?
Is he going to even agree? Come on.
Yeah. Number one, I don't think he'll remember who I am.
You know,
he was on my podcast, but I did a workshop he was teaching, and he friended everybody.
Yeah.
And I really don't want to have the conversation. It's going to be so awkward. I've already had to have a conversation with a comedian who opened for Jay Farrow. He was one of our first episodes, and I think he
must have been an Aaron.
AJ. He was like the first one I recorded. Yeah. So, and it was really difficult because I didn't even know what I was doing yet. I was like, I kind of have this idea. You don't know me. You opened for, like, he knows that I booked him and I paid him. So he probably friended me thinking this is a potential comedy booker. I need to be nice to these people. I want this to be friends. But I don't know. So then we'll have the conversation. We'll talk about, get to know you. And then at the end of it, we'll be like, so should we be friends?
Should we be friends? I like this. This is like an exposure therapy.
Yeah.
Like, I do think like maybe have a therapist on the side, but this is working in the meantime.
Have a therapist, not a bad idea. Well, and then so now that I'm kind of thinking of putting it within our American Timelines True Crime American Story podcast, I'm thinking a couple things from my podcast that I want to incorporate might help make it fit in. It might be more interesting conversation too. So let me start there, because it'll give you a little history. So if you don't mind sharing your hometown, like what I'm going to ask you is your hometown and what like high school you went to.
Sure.
I want to know the mascot of your high school, the fighting what are the team colors, and then any notable alumni of your school.
Okay.
Is there any like who's the most famous person from your school?
Yeah.
Sometimes there's not any, but sometimes, it's probably this person who's maybe a senator, whatever. And then the last thing is like your hometown, like is there a true crime story? Is there a legend of your town? Like what's the thing? So
cool.
Let's start there, Abby Elfman. And then after we get this background, then we'll jump into how we know each other and all that.
I like it. And call me Abby. We'll start there. It's all good. I let people choose, but I'm like, for this purpose, you know what's funny? I'm going to remind you that we're close enough. You can call me Abby. How about that?
Okay. Yeah. Well,
I remember by the end.
See?
Well, I remembered I called you Abby during the show, but then I thought maybe I presumed, because I'm presumptuous. Like somebody just.
Well, and we change sometimes. We're like, I was always Abby as a kid, and then I was like, no, in college, I was like, I'm Abigail now.
I'm Abigail
now.
Yeah.
But then people would still default back to Abby once they got to know me, and I was like, all right, fine.
Yeah, I was Joey when I was little, and then when about third grade, I was like, I'm Joe. No more Joey. I'm a man.
Yeah.
And then Steve, do you want to be called Steve or Gruff? Do you care, Gruff?
Steve is fine. Gruff is all right. If I just float back in the background, I'm just here to laugh.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, he's just a good sidekick to have anywhere you go. And we do the Gruff and Loud
come in
show
handy.
together.
I'm a nice accessory.
Yeah, he's co-hosted a number of things, so it's always good to have him. And that's the other thing. He's kind of the byproduct. It's like, okay, after we talk, what do you think of this guy too? Like, he's pretty easygoing guy.
I wish you would turn the lights on right now. I feel like he's kind of a voyeur paying on OnlyFans.
Actually, no, there is kind of a creepy vibe, but that's not this.
This looks like your feet pics only.
He's got like the white beater on. There we go. Oh, there you are.
I like to think of it as an action hero, and because it's an A shirt, and John McClane wore one.
Yes, very true.
So Abby, do you have an OnlyFans?
I've thought about it for like putting on my makeup just as a normal person, because I feel like everyone has a kink, and I'm like, I need to get paid for just doing the stuff I would do anyway, and I'm like, I've seen like I could just sit there with like listening on my headphones to music and just like putting on makeup, and I know someone out there is gonna be like, I'm into that shit.
Somebody will jack off to that. Yes.
Someone.
That's worth like $1.50. Whatever.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is something I could absolutely be capitalizing on. Yeah.
So that's a
I've
great
thought about
question.
it.
You
Yeah.
wouldn't be above that necessarily. You
I'm
just
not
have
above it.
No, I
I'm
don't
absolutely
think anyone should be above.
No, it should be above that. Like,
Yeah.
think about, I
No.
took an entire class in college about like deviant social styles and so like deviant natures of, and it was
Yeah.
fascinating. And like, we had like people come in who had like deviant lifestyles to like talk to us about it. And so I was just like, hell yeah, this is cool.
Whoa.
Like,
Yeah.
everyone is their own person. Like, don't yuck my yum. I won't yuck yours. Like,
Exactly.
great. Yeah.
No, there's
Wait a
Be
minute,
so
weird.
many other things to be fucked up about than what makes people happy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What were some of the deviant lifestyles people had that were in your class?
You know, I had, and this was like well over a decade ago now, right? So we had someone come in who was a trans individual. So at the time that was still pretty like
That was very
not
new then.
mainstream, right?
Right.
And so
Yeah.
this was not necessarily this was not their choice. But this individual also was very interesting because they were born with a deformity to their hands where they basically have like lobster claws.
Oh.
And so it just
What?
was like adding another interesting
Yeah, that's
characteristic
just
on
a-
top of that. Just like that is not a
That's
lifestyle
I mean,
choice, but
look over here.
it was
Definitely,
I was just like, cool. That's pretty neat. But it was really interesting to listen to this person's story, and like one of the first people in Texas to like get their license with their preferred gender on it. So
Really?
it was really interesting kind of people. Yeah.
So you're saying about a decade ago?
Decade or right around there. Yeah, I think I was still in college then.
And was that a psychology class?
It was a sociology class.
Sociology, yeah, that was gonna be my next guess. And this was. Do you have a degree in that, or was it just a class you took?
Oh, great question. So I have 2 degrees. I have a bachelor's in psychology and a master's in industrial organizational psychology.
Ooh.
Whoa,
So
whoa,
wonderful.
I'm pretty cool.
Say that last
Yeah.
thing again.
That's
Masters
building
in
some blocks, yo.
Yes.
Yeah. So industrial organizational psychology. It's better known as IO psychology, which is effectively the study of people at work.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So do you
a
remember?
thing?
Here's the thing. Here, I'm going to bring this full circle for you. Do you remember Cheaper by the Dozen? Like your OG Cheaper by the Dozen movie?
Spencer Tracy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like these 12 kids, and like they would take baths, and they would try and like make the fastest bath they could, the most efficient bath that they could, to save the heat of the water because they only had one tub, right? And so they would like play a record on their player, and it would be like the length of time you had to get out of it. So the dad of this was like one of the founding fathers of IO psychology because of these time studies that he did about the effectiveness of something or the amount of time it takes to perform something. So he would like watch masons building with bricks and timing how much time it takes to do certain activities, and that's kind of the start of this whole thing.
Yeah. Whoa. So
That's
timing
wonderful.
tasks is how he started this art of, it's like, so you're saying it's studying people at work at their job,
so it's
and the
grown,
psychology of it.
Yeah, so it's grown significantly. So the reason why it's called IO psychology, so I psychology is more of that side of things where it's like job analysis is what that is like, I'm going to come into your company and I'm going to watch you do your job, and I'm going to help identify like, what does your job entail? And so from that, like, what do I need to know about it? How do I need to structure your organization accordingly? Blah, blah, blah. So that is that side, writing job descriptions and interview guides and creating an organizational structure. That's industrial psychology.
Right.
Organizational psychology is kind of the fun, creative side. So that's how are people motivated? How do you create effective leadership? All of those kinds of more HR kind of side of things.
Sure.
It's all like very HR adjacent, but like I can't do your
Yeah.
benefits. I don't know shit about comp. Like that's not me.
Yeah, no.
Yes, I'm here
But
to
I can
make you
your
a better
life easier
employee.
in ways
Yeah.
that HR
Yeah.
makes your paperwork easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're the
Wow.
fun ones.
I think so
That's
many businesses
wonderful.
need this or need psychology within that. Like there's so many.
It's just
HR
identifying and working with the software we're all born with.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
After all,
What
we are
motivates
all,
people. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
And
Okay.
everybody motivates differently. So yeah.
Exactly.
Crazy. And oh, by the way, we embrace the tangent if you haven't noticed.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I haven't even
Run
told
with
you about where I'm from yet.
We will
Go
get
run
to
with
where
that.
we, any
That's
tangent we go, just if you're good with that, we
We're
embrace
just
Oh,
here to
I am.
meander. We're just here
I'm
to
into it.
meander
I'm all
around.
about a winding path.
Yeah,
always.
we are tangent having motherfuckers, but I'm just fascinated by things, and so I don't want to lose things because I also have ADD. So I'll be like, wait a minute, what are we talking about? Wait, stop. What was that? So But that's fascinating to me. And I can't wait to find out where you went to school. But I knew you're from Texas because of your podcast, Amused Bouche.
Where we may reference it quite a bit.
Yeah, we'll get in there. We'll get into this, all the background of everything in a bit. But let's go back. Let's go back to the origins of Abby.
All the way back. All right. So do you know when you're from a place and that place is so small that you zoom out and you ask them about another place as a reference point?
Yes.
And then, okay. So for example.
Yes, my favorite.
Yes, great. I'm from Houston. Are you familiar with Texas? And where Houston is roughly?
Yes.
Roughly.
Okay, great. Have you been to Houston?
No.
Okay, great. Then
Nope.
I have to stop there. I'm from Houston for you.
Cool.
But
Okay,
I'm from a town northeast of Houston called Humble. It's spelled humble with an H, but the H is silent because it was a guy's name. His name was Pleasant Humble.
Pleasant Humble.
That was our town's founder.
Wonderful.
Humble.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's pronounced humble. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
It is pronounced
I mean,
humble.
pronounced humble, but
humble.
spelled humble. Sorry.
Yes. So I'm from
Humble
Humble,
history.
Texas.
Pleasant Smith Humble, known as Plez.
Look
Arrived
at
to
you
the area
instant
just
fact-checking
before the
me.
Yeah,
Civil
no, not
War.
fact checking.
They're not
just
checking.
augmenting.
Just
he's
Love
hanging.
I
Love
love
it.
this. I love
tree
this
you're
shit.
growing.
I love
That's all.
origins of everything.
Yes.
I love obscure historical references.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
This is
If you can
just
think
so
of any
exciting for
notable
me.
birthdays, throw those in.
And my birthday is very notable as far as
Well,
I'm
yeah,
concerned.
but I'm not going to ask your
I
birthday.
will tell you
That's
this.
for you to
This is
guess.
actually connected. Here, it's connected. It is
Ooh.
the day of the Galveston hurricane, the Great Hurricane of
Oh,
1900.
September 8th.
Yes, that's what
See? Oh,
I'm just kidding. I didn't know that. I knew your birthday was September 8th just because I was trying to Facebook stalk you earlier to get this high school stuff. But I noticed you have nothing on your Facebook about bio except your
Wise.
birthday.
wow.
Which is smart.
No.
It's probably smart.
It's probably
Probably.
obvious.
I feel like I probably just didn't know. I didn't
Hey.
get the memo to update it.
Keep
You
it
have
up.
some funny
think you're doing
historical
well.
moments though.
Do
you
I?
have your history of like notable dates in your time on your Facebook. You probably don't remember putting this. There are like you left a 1-star Yelp review one time.
Probably the only time.
Yeah, there was like 3 things, and they were just
Hey,
like funny
They should
jokes.
deserve it. They should deserve it.
Honestly, it takes a lot, and we'll even talk about this when we talk
Good
about my
for you.
podcast, because it's important to me not to ruin somene's life.
Good
like
for
that is
you.
not what I'm here
No,
for.
good
Yeah,
for
yeah,
you.
yeah.
I
You don't
worked
want
too
to.
long in restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Have some
Okay.
respect.
So this town is Humble.
Humble, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So I went to Humble High School for 2 years.
Okay.
Okay, we're actually going to narrow our scope even further. So I'm from Texas, I'm from Houston, I'm from Humble. I'm actually from Atascocita.
Ooh.
Atacocita. Atascocita.
Atascocita.
Yes. So I'm from the Big A. It's on Lake Houston.
Okay.
Ooh.
And
that's
so-
nice.
that is my actual town. So I'm from Atascocita.
Wow.
So it was so small at the time that we didn't have a high school. And so we went to Humble High School. But my sophomore year, they finished building. And so I was actually part of the first graduating class of Atascocita High School. So I went
Wow.
from being a wildcat in purple over
Okay.
at Humble High School to being red, white, and blue. They literally modeled, Google my high school, Joe. They modeled this high school after Monticello. It literally looks like Monticello, red, white, and blue. We were the
Oh,
Eagles. It was
Wow.
absurd. It was
That's some
completely crazy.
America.
Atascocita
dude.
High School.
That's
Oh my
Yep.
God. Yes.
Atascocita.
Okay. So
That's some
you
fucking
were
America. I don't want to. I just
home of
have
the Eagles.
something that's somewhere
Bleed
between
red, white, and
reality.
blue.
Oh,
Home of the Eagles.
when
And
you say
Yes.
purple, was it purple and white? I assume
It was purple and white. Yeah,
okay.
that's
okay.
right.
Okay, so it's purple. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just purple.
yeah,
Purple in the absence of something else.
yeah. Yeah,
So
Purple and negative.
true.
how do you say it?
Atascocita.
Atascocita
Atascocita.
Eagles, right?
Yep.
Atascocita Eagles. That rolls nicely. Atascocita Eagles.
Okay.
Just Atascocita Eagles.
Notable alumni include.
Dabalina, Atascocita Eagles.
You know what they should include? Notable alumni should include me.
Yeah.
Because
True.
I was the first person to graduate college from that first graduating
Well,
class,
yeah.
and the first to get my master's because
Really?
I blitzed through it. I got my bachelor's in 2.5 years,
Oh
beginning
my
to end,
gosh.
because I just wouldn't stop. I just had to get going because I
Good.
knew I had
No,
to get a
just keep
master's
running.
degree.
If you got pace, keep pace.
So
Yeah.
you were in
All
the
right.
first class, the first graduating class?
Very first class of 2008.
Did
I know,
anyone
I'm so sorry,
walk
I'm
in
showing
front
my
of
age.
you, Miss Abigail?
Everyone
Did it-
walks in front of me. I'm
No,
very
did it-
short. I'm only 5 feet tall.
Well, I mean, all right, your last name is Elfman. I guess I got.
Yeah,
So
and
you
it fits. Every Christmas season it became a running joke. So
Yes.
No,
yes.
no, yeah.
Abby's very
there's
short.
that. I was just wondering if you were actually the physically first one to
no,
graduate. But
no, I was not.
you-
No, I was
Yeah,
like
I got
number
really
312. No, I did
Oh.
have a graduating class of about 950 people.
Oh,
By the way,
that's a big
Christmas.
school. Okay.
yeah.
So
Wow.
Yeah. Not even the biggest in that kind of district either.
Damn.
wow.
Well, I mean,
I was thinking it would be
everything's bigger in
small
Texas, right?
Nope. I know
because it's such a
crazy.
smaller town. But yeah, so we had a graduating class. We were class of 94, and we have a class of 89.
Was it
in our class?
89? I think like
Wow.
70. I think just
I mean-
under 80 walked across the stage.
Oh, it
wow.
was like
that would
probably
have been over in less than an hour.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
That
no,
would
it
be
was
a
quick.
whole day.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was annoying. It was so short, it was annoying. It's like,
I
oh, we
mean,
got to do this tonight.
Yeah,
Ah,
we
Oh my
knew
God.
75 probably of the 89 because there was like some
Yeah.
kids from a vocational school or whatever that didn't
Yeah.
walk. But that's how small so
oh,
for me, it
tiny.
blows my mind. My kids, like, they don't know everybody in their school. Like,
Yeah.
it'll just be some kid. Like, you don't.
It's like,
who's
oh,
that?
you
I
don't
know.
have some stranger's fucking parents up your ass? Weird.
Yeah, it's
Weird.
weird.
That's fucked
Oh
up.
my god, this is so cool. Okay, so who would you say is the most famous person from this school? I
So
have the
have
Wikipedia list.
I
but-
have a personal connection to this, so that
Oh.
I'm biased by what I
Okay.
think is the most.
Mm.
It's hard for me to say what's the most famous. So no, hold on, because that's not even fair. Because they're at Humble High School.
Oh,
why?
One of our classmates got rabies and died, and his name
What?
was Zach Jones.
Well,
And so he lived in kind of our area in Atascocita, so he would have moved over to our school. And after he died, which was very tragic and unexpected by
Tragic, yeah.
everyone, as you can imagine, they like set up a fund for him, and they made these bumper stickers. And so there was like a slogan for him, which was like, "Who? Zach Jones." And so people would do that kind of a rally of like, "Who? Zach Jones." And so they made bumper stickers for it, and you can still drive around my town and you'll see him, and you'll know that's somebody like from like my group of people.
Zach Jones.
wow.
Wait a minute. So how did he get rabies?
So obviously it is kind of a what he said versus what actually happened, but
Okay.
the way I know it is that a bat flew in through his open window at night and bit him in some way. So the question is, like, was it while he was sleeping? Did he try and catch it? Like, what happened there is unknown.
Yeah.
He didn't
Oh.
tell his parents right away. He went to school, and we were still at Humble at the time. So he went to school, and he was like really irritable and not feeling well. And so they took him to the doctor, and then eventually hospitalized him, thinking it was encephalitis, which is like the swelling of the brain.
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
then while they were testing him, they tested him for rabies and confirmed it. So they put him into a coma, trying to get the brain swelling down, and he died in the coma. So
Oh my
it was
god.
it was
wow.
horrible. I still
No, that's-
cannot listen to what's that song by Eric Clapton, Tears in Heaven, because
Oh.
they played it at his funeral, and
Holy
Oh,
shit.
oh my god,
Wow.
that funeral
That's
it's still
imprinting.
burned in my brain. Like, it
Yeah.
was rough.
Yeah, dude.
I'm so
yeah.
glad you thought of the song because I was about to make a terrible joke about, oh, it's an Eric Clapton song called rabies, bat rabies. And no, I mean, it's like, that's terrible. I mean, it's terrible
Bat
because
rabies, no, that's
until you
Prince.
know
That's-
someone, it's something you would like, it's so off the wall that instantly your brain just goes to like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, no, you just go to
got
the
bit by a
absurd.
bat and rabies and died.
Yeah,
Like,
that
Yeah.
I mean that's what people like us grew up hearing stories about that. That's
yeah.
Yeah.
that's sobering. And
The
thank you for sharing.
chances,
I'm
the
sorry.
chances. What
Yeah.
are
It
the
was-
chances
Well,
of getting bit by a bat in your bedroom and
Yeah.
getting rabies and dying?
yeah. Well, I'll tell you
Ugh.
that the chance of dying from rabies
Yeah.
is 99.9.
Okay, that's high. If you're gonna get it,
You're
okay.
gonna get it. If you don't
Yeah.
get vaccinated right away, you will die.
Oh,
So yeah,
God.
terrible. Yeah.
So we
Oh
got
my
a PSA
goodness.
nonetheless.
Yeah, we have a
Please,
PSA.
if you ever have any question, if you are
Yeah.
bit by an animal acting strangely, go get a vaccine
Yes.
right away.
So
See
this
a
young
doctor
man,
quickly.
this young man who this happened to? You knew him pretty well, or just...
I didn't know him as well as other people, but I was a social butterfly, so I knew like all 900 people in my class. Yeah. So with that in mind, who the hell is the most famous person from Atascocita High School? I have no idea. I have no idea.
Would you say so? On Wikipedia, they have it's all sports players. It's all somebody for the Houston Texans, Kenyon Green. Patrick Taylor Jr. from the Packers.
Did they say what year they graduated? Because I literally stopped caring about high school before I graduated. Like I had no what we would call school spirit in any of my schools. Like I didn't have it in I was like
you were very focused post high school.
I really was. And I was like a Benjamin Button where I was like an old person in a young person body. And I was just ready to get out of there and get done. I always wanted to be an adult and stop with the kid nonsense, which is like, now I look back and I'm like, it would have been cool to like, I don't know, go to a football game and cheer people on. But like, you know, I never did that. And so I look back, I'm like, but yes, if anybody did anything after the year I graduated and I didn't know them in my graduating class,
you would know.
I would not know who they are.
Carson Edwards, Alex Dixon, Sam Cosme.
Alex Dixon sounds familiar.
Soccer player.
That's why. Yeah. Cause the soccer players were my friends. I like soccer. That's one of my choice at sports.
That's funny. Yeah. So not that any of this really matters, but so there wasn't anybody growing up that was like, oh, you go to the school of so and so. Like, we're from Toledo, but but again, we're not really from Toledo. So
have you been to Ohio? Do you know where Toledo?
And then we're from Northwood, and
it's like a 1x7 mile. It's separated by dumps. It's
we live in between two dumps. Yeah, we grew up between two dumps. Yeah,
it's like a valley.
Yeah,
like we are. Valley.
Boy, you have to you cross
trash valley.
From our side, our shit side. You go through a trash valley to the land of commerce.
and it was split. There was a wrong side of the tracks, and Steve and I are from the wrong side of the tracks.
Yeah,
we're from the.
Well, you both seemed like you turned out okay.
We're all right, but you know, like three girls from my high school were dating teachers.
Oh, cool. Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's it's like that kind of a small town, weird white trash. Anyway,
he probably wasn't even cute, was he? It's like.
I think they were attractive gentlemen.
No, I think
both teachers were attractive guys.
Okay.
But I love how you
not that automatically. It matters. Not that it matters. Love is love, I guess.
But isn't it funny how you knew they were men? Like the teachers were automatically men.
Yeah, they definitely were. Yeah. That's I
pretty much
check my privilege there. That was a stereotype. I did it.
No, but it was
dead on. It was right. You know, it's like sometimes there's
a lot of things about the world we grew up in that is horribly stereotypical. It's like, oh, the reason why that exists. Okay.
Well, isn't it funny though that we are so dead into so much of the news that we hear that it's like when something is a twist, we get excited. It's just like a woman shot up a store.
Oh yeah,
go girl.
So fun, like new news today.
Good for you.
Share,
you.
Yes.
Not a lone wolf.
I love.
What do you call like a solo vixen? I don't know.
So that transition. So it was your junior and senior year. You went to the new school.
Yes, that's right.
So was it exciting and like being the first classes? And
it was.
Did it have a new school smell?
Well, okay. So again, this school could have been designed better. This is what makes me think like lobbies go deep, right? Like all the way down to the local level, right? Into the school district, as we all know now, living in like, or at least for Joe and I, probably living in the Charlotte area, listening to Mike Collins in the morning. Anyway, you know, so yes, my school was designed to have houses, and this was like, oh, like cool, Harry Potter, I guess. No, it was red, white, and blue, and then generic floor level that like didn't have a color. So why again? They just didn't think anything out all the way. But the idea was like, oh, you'll stay in your house for all your classes. That's why none of you get a locker. Like only like the young kids would get lockers, and junior seniors we didn't get ones. And so we still have like 7 classes a day. And so they were like, you're going to stay in Blue House if you're in Blue House. But this was not true, and this never happened. But there was literally a quarter mile between sides of the school, and only one, what we called Main Street. Main Street was the giant hallway that connected the houses. So there's 2 on one side, 2 on the other, a quarter mile away. And so with your 5 minutes, you had to fucking hoof it to get from one end to the next. And just like, I'm lucky I was so little because I could just,
in
like
between
move my way through people. Yeah. And so
soft shoulder.
Yes, I was back and forth all the day long, all the time. It was rough.
Oh,
So
That's weird. Yeah.
that is.
Texas.
yes.
Yeah, that's weird.
No, they're not all like that. Sorry. Hashtag not all
No,
Texas.
Not all
but-
Texas. Yeah,
It's
not
just
all
an
Texans.
you know,
Yeah.
Not all of Ohio's like Northwood.
That's right.
So
That's right.
Yeah.
So here's just what I assume. I've always assumed a Texas school or growing up in Texas is like everybody has multiple cowboy hats.
And we all ride horses to school
You have
or a
boots.
tractor.
Everyone wears boots. You have spurs.
Everyone wears boots. No, you
Yeah.
don't need spurs unless your horse is hot, so you're fine.
Oh.
So I'll go. Oh, yeah, no, a sexy horse. No.
Oh,
No, it's funny because like I did grow up riding horses, but I didn't like ride a horse to school. But I will say, like, my town is the town you could drive through and you would see it's still a town. We have a Walmart, we have, a Target,
Okay.
whatever. But you would see all that on one side and like apartments and real Starbucks, whatever. And then on the right side, you would see oil pump jacks and cattle, like longhorn cattle in
Okay.
the field.
Yeah.
So it was really a cool, comparison. I remember when I
Yeah.
moved to North Carolina, because I lived in Texas my whole life.
Yeah.
I moved here because I was done with Texas. I literally had a Scarlett O'Hara moment, a Gone with the Wind moment. When she goes out into like the plantation, she goes, "It's God, it's my witness. I will never, whatever. She'll
Starve
never
again.
go hungry again." Yeah, in
Mhm.
Tara, right?
Yeah.
So I did that on like my senior year summer. I went outside, or I was in college, so it was like my last year of college, and I went outside. It was so fucking hot. Sorry, I hope this is not.
No, yeah.
Cursing is fine. Great.
F-bombs away, baby.
Yeah.
Great.
No, curse away.
Yeah.
I think it really adds to the feeling here.
It's a way to get natural flavor.
Yeah.
Was that really the first F-bomb? That's
No, it was like
Yeah.
the third or fourth. I just thought
Oh,
I'd
okay.
check.
Gotcha.
Just
Yeah,
to remind myself that we need to go back and edit things. But
no.
so I went out there and I was like, I will never endure another Texas summer. And so that's why I came here sight unseen. I took the first job I was offered
Mhm.
and I did a
Nice.
virtual interview for, and I was right out of grad school. I was like,
Really?
I'll take it anywhere.
Oh.
And so my first time here was to like find a place to live. And so I looked around, I'm like, where are all the cows?
Yeah, well,
There are no cows here.
well, I'm in Waxhaw, so they're out
Yeah,
here.
I know. Well,
They're by
I used
me,
to have
yeah.
a horse and I used to like have him boarded down in Waxhaw.
Oh,
yeah.
did you? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
So this is cool for you. This weather we're having, like I'm.
This is
dying.
still laughably like it's. I was just in
Well, there's
Houston 2
moisture.
weeks ago, and I
Mhm.
only go back for weddings, funerals, and babies. Like that is it.
Oh shit.
I do not go back. I
Yeah.
hate it. I hate it so much, and I'm so sorry to everyone.
Well, it's
I'm
becoming
definitely
a
going to share
blast
this
of
with all my
youth.
friends.
Yeah.
It is awful, and so it's just so. I felt like a shit, and Joe knows because he's listened to my podcast. But
Yeah.
I don't want to gatekeep. It's not what I'm trying to do. But when people hear like it's so hot and humid, I'm just like, you have no idea. This is nothing. Please go to Houston in July. It is not the same. And I don't
Yeah.
mean that to be judgy. It's just like when you get off an airplane in Houston, you literally, your shoulders heave with the weight of the air.
Weight of the world. Oh.
And if I go
And even-
someplace
I
like
always
Denver
forget
with no like
yeah.
humidity, I'm just like,
Yeah.
I feel like a fish. Like we have water in our lungs. We're used to it
Yeah.
so much. So
Mm.
it's crazy. Yeah.
Oh.
It's still
So,
hot here
yeah,
this
no,
year,
that-
but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sweltering in my garage right now because this is where my podcast studio is. So I'm just like, God, it's just miserable. It's a heat wave. You just go out. I go outside for like 5 minutes at a time, come back in when I'm doing yard
Yeah.
work. I gotta cool off, covered in sweat. Because we are from Ohio, Northwest Ohio, like
Yeah.
basically Michigan,
Yeah.
where it's cold and
Basically
snowy,
Michigan.
and I'm the
Yeah,
same way
no.
like you. I don't want to. It's cold. I don't.
No,
I
yeah,
don't wanna
like
go
I'm
back.
pretty sure he had a moment similar to your I will no longer bear this summer. Like I'm pretty sure that happened to him in the winter.
I'm just
Yeah.
done.
Known him my entire
Yeah.
life has always hated cold.
Fuck the
Always hated
snow
cold.
and the.
Yeah.
Why are we living like this? You don't
Yeah.
have to. Now, North
Yeah.
Carolina might not be far enough, but it's nice. Most of the
It's
year, it's really
good.
nice
It's
here.
That's
Yeah.
what when I was trying to make that decision, like I wanted to go to college up in New England, and I had
Mhm.
made the call of like, oh, well, if I can't go to college there, then maybe I'll just go there after grad school. So North Carolina offered me a job. Let me use like a stepping stone. I'll be on the East
Yeah.
Coast, and then I can move my
Mhm.
way north as
And
much
it's
as I
so-
choose to.
North Carolina
Nice
is
stuff.
so close to the Northeast corridor.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
It's-
So
it's-
yeah.
It's where people I'm pretty sure it's where people from the Northeast corridor vacation.
Yeah,
You
Virginia
know?
too. I mean,
Yeah,
they're all
Virginia,
getting out
North
of the snow
Carolina,
too.
South Carolina,
Well, and we're
They're all
close
moving
to
here.
we're close
Yeah.
to the you can drive to the beach, you can drive to the mountains.
This
Just
is
kinda
what I
in the
love
middle of
about
everything.
Charlotte.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, I love Charlotte. Charlotte's great. 2 hours to the mountains, 3 hours to the beach. I'm like, cool. What about
Yeah.
Charlotte? And there's like, mountains are close, beach is close. It's purely a geographical question.
It's a nice center place. I mean, the city, downtown Charlotte is beautiful.
We got the Hornets.
I've been lucky to wander
around
there.
Here, I'll tell you. Okay. So what I used to tell people, I had 3 requirements to stay in a city forever or long term. And so my first requirement is that I had to have a zoo, because we still don't have a real zoo here. And yes, we have 2 zoos within driving distance, but like if you're a major city, you need to have a zoo. So like get your shit together, Charlotte. Yeah. So that's number 1 has not yet been met. Number 2 is to have a soccer team. So we have we've got the Charlotte FC, which I'm a super big fan. I watch every game. So you're doing terrible. Thank you. You're not doing well.
That's how fans are built.
That's right.
I live in Ohio.
Yeah.
We have a team in Ohio that is a good.
I mean, what a great point. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
Ted Lasso has gotten me into soccer a little bit.
Good. Watch Welcome to Wrexham if you haven't yet.
Yes.
So good.
I think you'll dig that.
Okay.
You're gonna like that. That's a great one. And then they're gonna have another season in a couple weeks. So start now and you'll catch up with us.
Exactly.
Well, I had a good buddy that I shared an office
fun to
with.
watch.
What is it called? Welcome to
Wrexham. WREXHAM.
Okay. Maybe I'll watch that, because I had a buddy who I shared an office with that was really into women's soccer and the cup.
Good for him. Love that. The World Cup.
Yeah. And I was like, dude, he was like, gotta come watch the game with me. Gotta come to the bar and watch the game with me.
Dude.
And I was like, no offense, but I don't like soccer. I've never liked it's so
we were
boring.
raised.
Like it's how we were raised. It's just like
I get it.
Score. And then I was like, I hate to be sexist, but I've never watched a woman's sport. Not that I'm against it, but I'm just like,
sure.
He's been to
I barely
him.
like
I can say he's been to him.
I don't watch a lot of sports anymore.
Yeah.
But so we went and we had some beers and we watched it, and his freaking excitement for whenever they were even close to scoring was like infectious, and the whole bar is like, I was like, holy
low
shit.
Score is so
I'm like getting like goosebumps.
Like, so often you're just like,
see, this is my thing. Exactly. So this is my thing about soccer is that there's just enough of that tension, will they, won't they, of like watching like a great series with romantic partners.
Well,
because in like
it's tension, it's dramatic.
Yeah, exactly. Because basketball, if you score over 100 points in a game, I'm like, what am I watching? Quidditch? Like, it doesn't make any sense and it doesn't matter to me.
Why even start watching
basketball? I can't even. Yeah, so it's just like it's too fast and it's too much and it's like they win too much. So I'm like, make it harder. I don't know, put spikes on the ball or something. I don't know. So like, do something. So basketball, I'm still struggling. But like, if you go to a game, that's fun because the world is electric around you. Every sport's that way. I didn't get into football for a long time because I didn't get it. I didn't grow up with football. And so I didn't watch it.
Yeah, you mean American?
Did.
You're
American football.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, American football. So I didn't get into it for a long time. Yep, great point. And then when I finally one day I was dating a guy and I was sick, and so it was football season, and I had no choice. I literally couldn't leave the bed, so he was like, "Here it is," and I was just like, "Teach me football." And so he taught me, and so I watched it, and I was like, "Oh, I can now that I understand the rules, I appreciate it more." So I can watch American football, no problem. But still, like my love is soccer. I love soccer. It is just so amazing to watch. It's so much fun. So I'm this is stupid. I'm an Everton fan in English Premier League. It's stupid because they are terrible. They have not always been terrible, but in the last 10 years they have been terrible. So this is the pain of a fan, right? Sure. So they're my team, but I like to watch a lot of any kind of games. So it's all fun. But yeah, so Charlotte FC's been great.
You automatically love the Charlotte FC,
I mean, this is I grew up in Houston. We got a team, the Houston Dynamo play. I have a Dynamo jersey. I went to a couple games before I moved, but they were not my team really. So when I got here and I was like, I am part of just I was the first graduating class of my high school. I'm the first inaugural team in Charlotte. Hell yeah, I am all in on that. Way more school spirit for Charlotte FC.
Ground floor, baby.
Yeah. So I went to I think 6 or 7 games last year, and I've been to 6 games this year, and I have at least 2 more for the season. There's only 6 games left in the season. But if you want to come with me, Joe, I would love to take you. And we could have so much fun.
He totally converted me with the women's game because then I was like, I'm into these. And then I watched them with my daughter who was little, and I was like, it was important for me to show her that women can do and are awesome. And I was into that one. Then it was that year that they're all famous. The one that was taking her shirt off, and they're all And plus it doesn't hurt that they're gorgeous. I mean,
Of course.
and they were
so like strong and capable and like all the good things that we want out of these
badasses and winning and dominating and just awesome. And then just that, and I explained to my daughter, I was like, it's important that we all support women's sports and don't just pretend, we gotta stop the stigmatism and watch them and get into them. So I was getting into them, and then she got into them, and but I haven't watched them since. Not for any reason other than there's just so much fucking shit to consume that I'm trying to get everything.
No, I hear you.
So the FC, like that, and now it's like the men's, and that's MLS, I guess, right? So that's different. And I'm not smart enough to know that, and still do podcasts and everything. Familiar, but
you'll get there. Come do a game. It's just fun. And
I know if I go to a game,
and then like you don't ever have to watch it on your own on your couch. Like, you can come to, like, I go to Big Ben Pub in Elizabeth, and we have an absolute. I was just there on Friday night. We watched the Leagues Cup. We played against Lionel Messi and the Inter Miami. So he was just bought by that team, and so this was our first time skirmishing with them, and we did so terribly, unsurprisingly. but it was really nice because especially for soccer fans, like Lionel Messi is like the GOAT, right?
Well, and he's like having him play on your field.
It'd be like having Achilles on your team and Troy. It's like, oh shit, like he's here, so I guess we should all go home.
Did you see when he kicked the ball by me? That's pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, have you ever been to Hooligans to watch a game?
I have. So Hooligans is a Liverpool bar, and they're amazing. They'll open at 7 a.m. for games and stuff. So you can go there for breakfast. And so back when like they were OG in the French Quarter uptown, I would go to Hooligans games. And then now they're right next door in Elizabeth.
Oh, they moved.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a second location or if it's.
I think it's a second. I think
maybe it's a second location, but there's one there.
Still in Atlanta, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the arcade is where I used to go. But I love. And then when Hooligans does like their big parties, when when Liverpool came to play a few years ago, they had a huge blowout in the parking lots. Like they had like a tailgate outside for people who couldn't go in for the game, and it's fun. And so it's it's a little weird for me because Everton is based out of the Liverpool area as well. So like I have a competition with them, but like again, I will cheer for the sport. Yeah, like I'm here for the sport of soccer. So anybody, like I'm talking to a guy right now, like dating a guy who is an Arsenal fan, and I'm like, that's fine. You do your thing. I will happily watch games with you, no problem. I'm not
good for you.
If we're playing each other, then it's on. But like any other time,
any other time, I'm just here for the game. Good for you.
So
I think that's a true fan.
That is a
healthy
true
about it, right? Like it gets weird when people are way too ride or die about things for you.
It is. It does. Yeah. So
and politics has gotten that way. So I'm just
that's. I was just gonna make that reference. It's like people are treating their their president like they're a soccer team or whatever, and they get crazy and hateful. Or whatever. But so before we get to why you came to Charlotte, what college did you go to where this was that you were going to? So it's near Houston, I assume.
It was not. So I was done with Texas since I've been like 5 years old. Okay. I was ready to leave forever and ever. So when I was 5, I had discovered Oxford, and I was like, I'm going to go to Oxford because I heard about it. Right. Like I didn't know. So I was convinced I was going somewhere else. And so as it got closer, I was like, I want to go. My colleges were in New England. So I was just like Amherst College in Massachusetts is where I wanted to go. Nice. It was an amazing college. And I got in, but my family couldn't afford it. And so I couldn't do it. So I ended up, because I had 2 older sisters who went to 2 private schools, one in Chicago and one in Texas as well. They were just like, oh, we're going to have to live in a trailer unless you go to a state school. So
nothing left.
Great.
Yeah.
Great for them.
Good for
like
them.
the baby.
Wonderful.
I get to,
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. And
Siblings.
whatever. It is what it is. Right. So I'm grateful for it now because obviously state schools are a lot cheaper. But so I was able to go to UT San Antonio, which again was like not even on my short list of schools. It was just like, I got into all those schools that we couldn't pay for. Oh shit. I should figure something out, and scrambled, and then went to UT San Antonio. And so moved to San Antonio. We were the Roadrunners. Beep, beep. That was our little thing.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see it. I'm all blurred. Yeah. So that's your little head and that's your little tail. Beep, beep. So that was fun. We did not have a football team either because it was a smaller school at the time.
Okay.
So basketball was our sport that like we had homecoming for and everything. So it was like a weird schedule compared to other schools. it was a really cool place to be. I had a lot of really fun friends there. I got
nice.
San Antonio is a really cool city. If you've never been there, it's great to visit. I would never live there. But it has like, it's known for like the river walk, and obviously the Alamo are there.
Okay.
And so we have in the UT San Antonio has a really amazing music program for the college. And so one of their jazz band is incredible. A lot of my friends are in jazz band. And then we have amazing mariachi program. So we have an entire college program around mariachi music.
Whoa.
It is so cool. And
That's
they would
so
go,
great.
they're everywhere and they play amazing. They dress up. It's so fun.
Mariachi,
really cool
awesome.
culture. Yeah, it's really
cool.
It was super neat. So it was fun to go there. So then when I graduated, and again, I just blitzed through school. I took like 18 plus hours every semester, including summers. I had like no fun, right? Like, cause I was like, I want to get in and out.
You're just ready to get done. Yeah.
Once I realized, so I went to school, I wanted to go into medicine. I can't do math. So once I realized that was reaffirmed for me. Yeah, it was reaffirmed for me in that first semester when I got like a D in algebra, and I was like, nope. All right, I got to pivot crisis mode. So
yeah, good for you for having the self-awareness to pivot to something that you can excel in.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny because so my whole life I wanted to be a veterinarian. I was sure, and it wasn't just because I loved animals; it was because I loved the medicine around it. So you remember like career day in elementary school, and everybody's parents would come in and talk about what they did. I would never ask my parents to come. I wanted our family's veterinarian to come. His name was Dr. Key. Shout out to Dr. Key. And so my godmother was like, oh, if you want to ask him, you're going to have to call him and ask him. So I would call the veterinary office and I'd be like, is Dr. Key there? And I would just ask him to come. And he came every year of my elementary school and talked to my class. So cool.
What a great guy. Yeah.
He was my mentor, and it was amazing. And so I was like ready to go in. Now, I also started school a year early, so I was kind of behind in development of my peers. And so I always was like struggling to like, why am I not getting something, or why? And it's like, oh, my brain is literally behind in developing. And I see that now, having gone through psychology. But you know, it was hard. And so I had like these identity crises all the time. And so when I got into school and realized I couldn't do math, I was just like, all right, whatever, psychology, I guess. And then once I realized I would do psychology, I was like, well, I'm going to have to get a master's degree. So let me go as fast as possible through undergrad. So that's how that
start
happened.
that up. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So this is a dumb question that I should know, but what do you do? Like, do you use your degree?
So I use my degree. What I am now is I'm a people development consultant. I work for a Silicon Valley tech company. And what that really means is that I'm in the learning and development space. So much like your wife is a teacher, I am an adult teacher within the corporate environment. So I focus on leadership development and manager trainings and like soft skills, right? About like influencing and communication, presentation, all that shit. So I do those kinds of things, but my kind of above and beyond that, from a consulting side, like I help develop the strategy for that. So like, what are we trying to achieve? How do we want to go there as a company? How can I help you identify the right skills for the company to move from A to B? How do we measure that? How do we, you know, all of that kind of stuff. What my true job is, Joe and Steve, is that I go to meetings and I make PowerPoints. Like that's my job.
Okay.
That's my job.
Well,
that's okay. That's
communicate
needed
in a way that people can understand, and people seem to eat the fuck out of PowerPoints. They love that shit.
Oh yeah, it's all about a visual.
A picture with some bullet points.
Everybody learns differently, right? So think about, you know, show a visual, talk to it, give everybody something.
Exactly. That's like the center mass we have. You know.
Well, that's it. You have the skills and the psychology behind how to teach people that and understand people, how they learn. All that sounds like too.
Exactly.
So that's what brought you to Charlotte, is that job that you got a job in Charlotte?
No, so I actually started at Lowe's HQ in Mooresville.
Okay.
So it turns out I've somehow, we talk about winding paths, right? Turns out I am doing the exact job that my mom was doing before she retired. She was in the learning and development space as well, which I never knew or realized until I got in it. And I was like, oh, I think I know what your job is now because I'm doing it. And so I somehow found my way into her footsteps, even though it was kicking and screaming. But I started out in a more formal organizational effectiveness role. So that's more of that industrial psychology we talked about at the very top of this. So when that was about like, okay, this retail company needs to restructure their company and then create all new job descriptions and blah, blah, blah. So I got to literally talk with all these people, learn their job.
And that was at Lowe's?
Yes, that was at Lowe's. And so I did all of that, synthesized that, and then created a recommendation. So learned all of that. That was my first like real job out of college and at a like grad school.
Yeah.
And so then I moved from there. I went to Belk, and then I did change management, which is another
Okay.
kind of facet of this.
Yeah.
And I had 5 jobs in 4 years at Belk.
Whoa.
I learned a lot. It was really hard.
Yeah.
Made amazing friendships there that are still lasting to this day. But after that, and I went to Duke Energy. So I was hitting like all of the big Charlotte companies.
Charlotte companies. Those are free. Yeah.
Yeah, but then I realized, I was like, okay, I've done regional companies. I've done national companies. I said, what's next for me? And I was like, global. I want to do something global. I want to see what it's like to work with people across the world. And so that's how I found my current company out of Silicon Valley. And so my team is truly, truly global. My boss was, she just moved roles, but when she hired me, she's in New Zealand. My direct manager lives in New Zealand. So we have 4 hours a day where we have this, like, it's her morning and my afternoon. So like it's tomorrow for her. I have teammates in Singapore. I have teammates in India. I have teammates in the Netherlands and the UK. And I have one teammate in Durham here. And then of course, everyone over at HQ in San Jose. So
awesome.
It is truly, truly global, 70 offices worldwide. And I intend to visit all of them. That's my goal.
Yeah, I was going to say, so is that,
hell yeah.
I wondered about that. Is it fun? Is it cool?
It is
face to face.
Yeah, exactly. That's the, and obviously like we support regions. So like I support the Americas region primarily, but that doesn't mean like I've been to 3 locations so far, 2 in the US and 1 in the UK because I was already visiting. So that's kind of like my goal is like, oh, I'm going to travel here for vacation and I can get some work days in. Yeah, that would be awesome for me because I want to meet with those people.
That's a very good.
Yeah. So it's fun, but there are some interesting hours every once in a while. Like it's not fair to me. Like yes, the company's based out of San Jose, so primarily we work US time zone times, but that means that my teammate in Singapore, which is 12 hours difference from here, she's always working at 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. when we're having a meeting. And so we try to kind of flex a little bit. So like I'm very open with my team. I'm like, we can rotate. Like if you want me to do a 6 a.m. and then you can do a 6 p.m. next month, like we try really hard. But this is a really cool thing because we're learning a lot about how we work as a team and how can we then give those skills to others in the company that we work really asynchronously a lot. So we'll like, I will record an audio message of me talking through a couple of slides in a PowerPoint that I'm sending to the team to say, here's what I'm thinking, blah, 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 blah. Let me know your thoughts. And so then they can look at it, listen to me at their own time, digest it, do their own work, and then send me a response. And so we work kind of out of sync, which I love.
Nice.
So it's really interesting.
Because you can now. You can. This is technology. We should be embracing it. It's no longer that's cool. So do you have an office in Charlotte or do you just work from home?
I'm full-time remote. I work from home.
Nice.
Closest office that we have is in Durham. And one of my teammates on my actual immediate team is in Durham. So I'm actually driving to Durham tomorrow. And I'll go to the office, which again, like I don't want to live in Durham because I don't want them to think they can bring me into the office because I'm not going to do it unless I want to.
Right.
So
yeah,
this is an I want to trip.
Yes, this is an I want to. That's good.
That's how it should be.
That's why don't you figure like if you do a couple I want tos here and there, they'll leave me alone about.
That's it. That's exactly how I feel.
Forcing you to look. I'm doing it. I'm doing it voluntarily. There's no need to have an office.
And I will come in for the meeting and then I'll leave again. Like I'm not going to come in arbitrarily from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. just because I'm just not. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to work where my work gets done the best. And that's it.
And that's how we should. I feel like we all should be moving that way. Like I will work when I need to work. If I need to work at 10 p.m., I'll work at 10 p.m.
Exactly.
But if I'm not going to come there just because the hours are supposed to be this time and do nothing. There's nothing to do. So I feel the same way. So okay, so Lowe's brought you to Charlotte. Okay, so where did the improv and the performance come from? Have you always been?
Glad you asked that.
Yeah, so we gotta. So we're kind of backtracking into this one, like. And all these other episodes I've recorded, I started with I've started with how we know each other, but I really know you best from our sketch show that we did, which is the only one we did, which is so awesome. And you were one of the best people in that. And then you're in the Foxes, and but we really haven't I haven't seen you since really much, like here and there. But of course I'm aware of you, and of course Amused Bouche. But so let's get into the improv world and comedy. And have you always done that?
Yes. All right.
Where'd that come from?
So the quick answer is no, I've not always been into it. I've always been funny.
Okay.
Like I was that kid in class that I knew I could make everybody laugh. So like I leaned into that. You know, when everybody's like, oh, your parents are like, you should be a doctor, you should be a lawyer. You know, that my dad was like, you should be a comedian. Like
Yeah.
that was my dad. And I was like, I love that
nice.
for him. He still to this day like tries to push it. And I did that. It's super fun to have somebody who's just like, you're hilarious and you need to do
Yeah.
something with that. But
Yep.
it was just never my thing. I get very kind of tunnel vision about like focused on things.
Yeah, what you want to do.
So yeah, and so I was not super confident. I was outwardly confident, inwardly insecure. So that was kind of my shield. And I was
Okay.
a social chameleon, so I would fit in with everybody and get along with everybody because I would change a little something about myself to do that.
Gotcha.
And so I'd never been like my truly authentic self, right? So one of my friends, I call him my oldest friend in Charlotte. And I don't mean age, I mean the longest running friend I've had since I moved here.
Okay.
So he was someone I started working with at Lowe's, and you actually know him too, Joe. It's Aaron Less, who was in their sketch show with us. Aaron is one of my dearest friends. I love Aaron. So Aaron and I used to go to like different creative stuff out in Charlotte, performance art. So we would go to like the One Voice Choir, the Gay Men's Chorus of Charlotte, or like drag show. Like we would just go to whatever, like a symphony thing, anything. Yes. And so one day he sent me a message. He goes, "Hey, I'm thinking about joining an improv class. Would you be up for that?" And I was like, "Sure, that sounds fun. Like, sure, let's do it." Okay. Having never thought about it before in my entire life.
So you didn't do any of it in high school? You didn't do theater or any of that stuff?
So there was a brief time where I was in theater, but I was a theater tech.
Okay.
I wanted to be be behind the scenes. And there was a brief, so our school did a pretty cool thing where they did a Twilight Zone competition every year. Okay. So every freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior each would have like their own team, and they'd compete against each other, and everyone would have an episode of the Twilight Zone. So we'd have somebody be a Rod Sterling, and then it was a really cool thing. So that was the one.
You would perform an episode?
Yes, with like UIL rules for like theater. So we had like the stage, like we had to configure the blocks they give you on the stage and everything. So one time I did that and was on stage was my freshman year. We did Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, which is like my favorite episode anyway. And that's the one with like, Shatner. Oh my God, William Shatner getting his start. So it was super cool. So I was the wife in that one of the Shatner character. And it was an interesting time. Anyway, it was hard on me and I was not like ready for it. And I was told I did very well and that's great. But like, I just was like, I'm going to be behind the scenes. No big deal.
Yeah, you didn't want to do that.
I can't project. So that was like, I'm done.
Okay. So fast forward to Charlotte. Yeah.
So I get into my very first class with Aaron. Here's all these beautiful, fun people.
And what's the class? Is it CCT?
This is CCT. So this is, Kelly Sennelsberger is still doing like the actual lead of the everything.
Charlotte Comedy Theater.
Yes, Charlotte Comedy Theater. Yep. We're still at Wet Willie's.
Back in the day. Back in the day.
So and so I've always been very much a process-oriented person, a black and white person, hate ambiguity person. So here I come into this improv class.
Yeah.
And we're told, okay, here's a game for us, right? I love telling this story because I tell it to everybody. So, okay, there's 5 of us in a line, right? And they're like, okay, here are the rules. And they tell the rules to everybody. First person performs the action. Second person performs the action. I'm like, okay, things are going well. Third person does something completely different. My gut instinct at that time is to raise my hand and be like, teacher, they did something wrong.
Yeah.
But the epiphany that I had in that moment is, that's the game now. Whatever that person did is now the new rule. And now I need to listen and respond and react appropriately to the new rules that are happening all around me. And so every class I went to built upon that philosophy. And that came to me at such a pivotal time of my life where it not only changed how I existed within an improv class, it changed how I exist at work. Because in my personal life, where it's just like, why be afraid of ambiguity when it just means that there are new opportunities and you can be open-minded and say, instead of, oh no, something went wrong, it's like, oh yes, now I get to come up with something new, or like you can roll with the punches now. And that was not me. And so it created a much more flexible person. So I became much more comfortable with those types of situations. And it gave me bravery, feeling like I was supported by the people around me. The whole thing about improv is having your back, right?
Yeah.
I felt that my team had my back, and I took that out of that class and was just like, I'm invincible. People have got my back and I've got theirs. It's going to be fine. Like everything's going to work out. And it built such a confidence in me that I didn't have before, that it's just absolutely just set me off my trajectory.
That is awesome.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so that's like a perfect argument for why people should do improv.
Everyone.
For
Everyone.
Work and school. And I mean, heck, EB, who you probably know, Elizabeth Byland, she was a local improviser, very skilled, and She now is an improv professor at VCU.
Yeah.
And they make everybody that goes to VCU take improv. It's a
Good.
mandatory
It's
thing now
amazing.
because it's not just
Yeah.
for performance. You need it for everything.
It's
Everybody
life.
should be
It's a
more.
life skill.
We all should be more flexible with each other and with life and with everything.
It's empathy. It's
Yeah.
listening. Those are core human skills.
Yes, that we all need.
Exactly.
So that's cool. So then you liked that class so much, you started performing?
Yeah, so I actually, with my team, like the second night we were all together, we went to like small bar down in the Music Factory,
Yeah.
and it was pouring rain, so we raced there, and then we were like, that was the night that like cemented us as a team. So we became the Sketchy Charlatans out of that class. We went up through all the levels, and we were performing, and we
Okay.
had such a connection. We performed. We would sell out any show we did.
Yeah.
We became, like a pretty good team, even though we were still
Yeah.
young. I don't know if you knew Cedric. I'm sure you knew Cedric.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Yeah.
So
Ced,
Cedric was our coach.
Okay.
He moved back to France. Actually,
I was
saw
gonna
him
say he was a
couple
French
weekends
guy,
ago.
right? He was a
Mhm,
French
yes.
guy. I could
Yes.
never understand what he was saying, but
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
He's the guy,
He's,
yeah.
just the best. He's so fun. So he really skilled us up a lot, and we just loved working with him. And then our little family we created, and
Yeah.
during the pandemic, and then from that I branched out and I like played a bit with the Foxes, and I would play a little bit over at Catch, and then I would do sketch comedy, and that's how I met Kevin and you and
Yeah.
like so many people. And so it just was an amazing avenue into the Charlotte comedy scene and all
Mhm.
these amazing creative people here and all the different things. So from that, like I then did Kevin's Samwell Sift series. I'm one of his
Oh,
voice
yeah.
actors for
That's
that.
right. I
and
forgot
yeah.
about
Oh,
Samwell Sift.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard you on that. Yeah, I forgot about that. Kevin, I forgot about Kevin. Oh, he'll be on here eventually.
Oh,
But
it's gonna be a good one.
I mean, the way improv classes do when you really meld into one. I mean, I'm going to Louisville in September.
I believe it's pronounced Louisville.
Louisville, yeah.
Yeah.
With
Yeah,
a
Louisville.
buddy of mine that I met through my improv class, and he actually married his wife in that class. Like, he didn't marry her in the class, but he met her in that class, and that was 20 years ago. I mean, it was 2000, like 23
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
We were in that class, and there's a group of like 5 or 6 of us that are still close friends to this
Aw.
day.
I love that.
So yeah, it'll last forever. So that's how you got, and then you got into the Foxes, and then
Mhm.
around the time I met you was probably, I don't know, 2018, 19, whenever we did
Yeah.
the
2019. That was spring 2019.
was it 19?
Yeah, 19.
When we did
It had to
the
have
sketch
been.
show. Yeah. So
Yeah,
we were
off the rails.
yeah,
Charlotte
off the rails. Yeah. So I got to write a couple sketches, and we I don't know, we were really trying to build the sketch scene. I think we're gonna try to get back to that probably starting
me
next
know.
year
Let
and
me
do
know.
more sketch. Yeah. We really got to build the sketch scene here. I mean, we have
I've still got
sketches.
some. I still write them down when I think of them. I still write down ideas. so-
Yeah, we need to. I need to just make that happen, because that was a lot of fun. We were all getting together to write, and then the audition process was fun, and then the show was really good. I mean,
Yeah.
so let's get into now your podcast.
Yeah. Well, I'll bridge
yeah.
this gap for
Okay,
you. So,
bridge it,
Oh,
bridge it.
cool.
So I'm deep in the comedy scene, right? Like 2019, everything is amazing.
Sure.
I'm starting to coach my own improv team. They have their premiere show on the 13th of March in 2020, and the next day everything shut down.
Yeah, COVID.
So
Then COVID
COVID
happened.
hits.
Yeah.
So COVID hits and puts everything in the whole world to a screeching halt, including comedy. And so our team was, like trying to like keep in touch and text each other and try and figure out what to do. And people started kind of figuring out like, oh, let's try like some online stuff. And I did 1 or 2 online improv things, and I was like, this is not giving me what I need out of improv. It's that physical connection with someone, the electricity that you can feel on stage, and also like the fuel of the audience that gives. So live theater for me was giving me something that this Zoom, and also for me, I've been working on Zoom my entire career. So for a decade, I've been doing this type of meeting. So I was just like, I'm done. By the end of the day, this is the last thing I want to do more of.
Yeah, no more.
So I was like, no. I was just like, okay, what am I going to do? And so Jen at the time, Jen Altizer, who's now Jen Fisher, she was like one of the only people in our COVID bubble. And so she would come to our house, and it was me and Jacob Brayton at the time. And so we had moved in like right before this started. So it was like, oh, well, it's a good thing we both have a place to stay. And so Jen would come over, and we would go over there. And so
Steve,
always...
so Jen was an improviser, actress in town, in Now Are the Foxes. Jacob was a
Yes.
friend of hers who you were
Yes.
dating, right, at the time,
Yeah,
Abby?
well, so I met Jacob and I met Jen through Jacob. And I actually remember when I
Okay.
had seen her at things and I would
Mhm.
just watch her in the audience being like, oh, she's so good.
Yeah,
I
she's
was like,
always been
she's
very good. Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
I realized I was just like, I want to
Nice.
be her friend. And so I broke her down and I made her my best friend.
So that's how you guys became good friends. I wondered
That's
how
it.
you guys
Yeah, so it was
became
through
best
Jacob.
friends.
So we'll forever be
Yeah.
grateful for Jacob for connecting us.
Yeah.
And then I eventually stole her. So whoops. Sorry, Jacob.
And you and Jacob are still on good terms,
yeah.
right?
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
we're
still
just
friends and everything. We
not dating,
we
just
grew
yeah.
we just grew
Nice.
apart.
Yeah, that
So
happens,
it's all
yeah.
good. It all happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he's gone
Humans.
back to acting too, and he's done some amazing stuff up
Oh,
at Lee
good.
Street again, which is great. So anyway, so
Oh,
yeah, so
wonderful.
during the pandemic, she and I always like to talk about food and we like to cook. And so we would be like, oh, well, I'll bring this over. And I'm a little extra, Jen's a little extra too. So we would always like do a little bit more than just like, oh, I'll just bring like, it's not like we're going to buy brownies at Harris Teeter, right? Like we're going to
Yeah.
make a special kind of brownie with like all the accoutrement, right?
Yeah.
So we were that kind of people. So at one point I'm like chatting with Brian Baltashevitz, who we know from the Queen City Podcast
Brian
Network.
Baltashevitz, shout out to
We
Balto.
love him. Love Balto.
Yeah.
So I was just chit-chatting with him one day about the network. So I was kind of offering my services to consult with him on the advertising strategy. And as we were wrapping up, he had asked me, he's like, when are you and Jacob going to do your kids podcast? Because we wanted to do something like Wishbone or something fun for kids. And I said,
Oh yeah.
yeah, man, like we love the idea. It's just so much work. Like I don't want to do all that work right
Yeah.
now. And so I said, what else do you need? And he just rattles a couple things off and he said, yeah, now since the Yelp podcast went, we don't have a food podcast. I said, oh, Jen and I could do that. We'll get a pilot over to you. How does that sound? He's like, yeah, that sounds great. So I was like, cool. And we hung up and I had to text Jen. I'm like, so I may have signed us up for something. So that's how we started. Oh God.
I love the idea.
That's
and I'm so
wonderful.
jealous because I've wanted to do that. Really selfish reasons, probably kind of the reason you want to do it is
eat good food.
I just want to go to places and be like, hey, I have to come here and hang out and drink your beer for my podcast. But
it's such a difficult life, isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah,
so
and if you just happen to want to give me stuff because I'm going to review it,
Well, and see, now this is I think an important distinction too. We had a big conversation about this because for me, Jen and I both are successful professional women working, having good jobs. And so we weren't coming into this wanting to be influencers or looking for free stuff. Right. And so like for me, my goal was always to I am a patron. I want to be a patron for your establishment or your whatever it is you're doing. And so for me, I was like, I'm not looking for free stuff. Like, in fact, please let me pay. I want to. And I definitely understand. And I'm always very grateful when somebody wants to give us something, but it is never a quid pro quo or pay for play. It is if you want to comp us something, we're still going to give our honest opinion about a thing, but we are not critics. What we have evolved into is that we are here to celebrate. So we're not going to talk about things that we didn't have a good time at. That's not what we're here for now.
Oh, okay.
And so we'll say if we had a 12-course tasting menu and 2 of those things were not our jam, we'll say that, but we're not bashing the place. We're not saying never go here, right?
You're not going to bash it. And okay.
It's
I like that
it might not be my thing, but yeah, we had some really good conversations with people, and especially in this day and age when people live and die by their social media presence and the influencers that are out there. Some influencer could walk into your establishment and ruin you with one bad review.
So much negativity. Yeah.
In this industry where the margins are so razor thin and these people are working literally day to day to survive. And that's just not okay. Right. That's just not the way to go.
I love that.
So we're here to celebrate and highlight the things that we think are awesome and the people that we think are awesome. And we've met so many really cool, great, wonderful people. And you'd be like, well, how would we do that? And it's we just ask. We just say, hey, can we talk to you? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And I mean, Joe, this is you are my hero forever and ever because of the most amazing thing that ever happened to us was that you got us the gig at the Fillmore interviewing Phil Rosenthal from Somebody Feed Phil. That was literally us meeting our hero, not only meeting our hero, but being on stage with our hero. And you cultivated that, and that was just incredible.
Well, so I got to tell you how it happened. I mean, I don't know if we've talked in depth about how it happened. It's all just happenstance.
The God smile sometimes.
I was in the God smile, and I'm telling you, it's you put it out in the universe and things happen. Askers get. We have a buddy that always says, "Askers get." If you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah.
But you guys approached me. I was telling Steve this before. I don't know if we're recording yet or not. Before you joined, I was explaining to him, kind of who you are and how we connected. And just a few times, we haven't really connected very often recently. It's been a while, but I was like, one of the most recent things, and I had totally forgotten until I started telling him about it. I was talking about your podcast. I was just listening to the Legion Brewery episode.
Yeah. Oh, I love that one.
Because of course I'm going to go right to the brewery stuff because I love, and I have questions for Legion that I want to do. I really want to do like a brewery type. I don't want to. We'll talk about that later.
Oh,
but
you know what? You should be a part of do a segment with us because I want to do like a spinny wheel where we spin the wheel and go to whichever one it lands on.
Go to a brewery and I'll do because
part of what you guys brewer consultant.
A brewer consultant, because part of what you guys talked about in the Legion one was, well, we're not really beer fans, but our friends who are say this. And I was like, I could be on that.
You can be our beer correspondent. Can you be the beer correspondent? There,
exactly.
I will. So, I want to go to all the breweries all the time, and I want to do shows and all. Anyway.
Yes.
But so you guys reached out to me to ask.
You sent us on a wild goose chase.
Well, it was funny because you reached out to me first to say, hey. Do you have a connection to any tickets for the somebody?
Well, we were just like, we just want to like get a picture of him or interview him for the podcast, or
could you even get can you have a connection to tickets or somehow backstage or meet and greet? When it did happen, I was so thrilled for you guys that not only like you asked me to get it to meet them, I was like, how about we'll do better. You get to host the damn show. So
can I tell you how we experienced this entire thing? So I was driving up to my friend's cabin. And so I had like put my phone upstairs to charge. We had just gotten there. It was like a Thursday night or Friday night, something.
That's right.
And
you were out of town. That's right.
And so I was out of town. And so I went down and I'm just like hanging out with them. And I'd like asked Jacob to go upstairs and get my phone for me because it had been about a couple hours. And he's like, hey, you have like 30 missed calls from Jen and like 100 text messages. And so then I open it and I see her text first. She's like, look at Joe's message, like Facebook message, blah, blah. And so I open it and it's you being like, hey, I think I have a gig for you guys.
Yeah.
And then we see it. And then, so then I call her and we're screaming. And the girl the friends I'm with are also huge Phil fans from the show. And we're all freaking out. I'm hyperventilating. I'm losing my shit. Jen and I are like crying. We're freaking out. And then we're just like, okay, we know it's out of our hands at this point. We know that Joe has recommended us. It's either going to happen or it's not. It is what it is.
Yeah.
We heard nothing. Like, and then this was the week before Thanksgiving. So then Thanksgiving comes, nothing.
Oh no.
We're just like, no. And the show is on the 4th of December. So we're just like, we're not getting it. It's not it. Jen goes on a cruise with her family, but like as their like wedding thing. Honeymoon. She comes back and we hear nothing. Literally 5 days before the show. Yeah. They sent us an email saying like, hey, you guys are our people. Here's what we need from you. And like, here, this is what our guidelines are for interviewing Phil. And I like call her. She goes in a meeting and I was like, cancel your meeting. Like, call her back. So, and it was truly just an incredible experience and just amazing. We met him. It's a real family operation. His daughter works on the tour with him and like on the show. Yeah. They do a lot collaborating and like, it was just really, truly incredible. And, I was really grateful that you had kind of, put us up in that way and to who we were as people. Yeah. But, we also, Jen and I have the professional lives that we lead, which we both do this kind of consultant type thing that we brought that together with kind of our improv stuff. And we were like, what questions do we want to ask? What story do we want to tell through our questioning of him and stuff? And so it came together in such an amazing way. Yeah. Yes. And on stage, it was so much fun talking to him. And then we got to interact with the audience and ask them questions. And the most impactful thing, that was all just, like an amazing blur. But at the very end of the show, his daughter, who was out in the audience, like, with the like tech team doing lights and stuff, we're on our way backstage with Phil. He's telling us, great show. And she comes running in to the green room. She goes, that was the best show we've ever done. And I was just like,
wonderful.
And I said, great, we will travel. Like, take us with you. Like, we'll go anywhere.
We'll go with you.
We'll go with you. And that didn't pan out. They were so gracious and amazing. They gave us some signed books and and we stayed in touch a little bit. We tried to get him on the podcast and things just timing wise didn't work out for us. And so we haven't reached back out. But Phil, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on our podcast.
Yeah, I think definitely keep trying. And I think hopefully that opened their eyes to don't pigeonhole and say we're only
Oh,
going to do
yeah.
one thing. Like
Oh, yeah.
they tried something different they didn't want to do out of their comfort zone, and it was the best thing they've done. So
Yeah.
and I was just picturing
Charlotte. I pitched Charlotte pretty hard for not desperately, but I pitched Charlotte in the good like elevator speech
for the show
to Phil about like, you should think about Charlotte as we're a really interesting kind of food culture. So we'll see what happens.
Well, so now back into Amused Bouche a little bit, and the food and the restaurants, and so because part of my thing about Charlotte, like the complaints I hear about Charlotte, and one complaint I kind of do, which I'm trying to like dispel some of the things, but because this is such a transient city, like nobody's from here anymore. We don't keep any historical buildings up. We tear them all down. It's all starting over. Everybody's complaining. Everybody else is from somewhere else that they don't like. What's the culture? Like, what's the food culture? Like, this
is my exact pitch. This is exactly what I said to Phil as we're sitting in his green room, is that Charlotte is a city of transplants. We are establishing our own culture. We are creating our own because we didn't have anything that we kept really. And what we are rediscovering through those who have been here or are actively seeking the history of not only the food culture, but also just the world that Charlotte used to be in. That's all coming together now. So we are creating our own food culture, which is around connection, experiences, strong flavors, unique flavors, bravery. All of that is happening in Charlotte. And it is such a, like, Wild West is not the right word for it, but it's almost like Gestalt kind of blank slate type of place where you can try anything. And Charlotte has so many different types of people that have moved here that you have your people. Someone is gonna, there is a collection of people here that your concept is gonna work for, and that's
it's
just
a wonderful
so cool.
little crossroads. Yeah,
it is like a weird crossroads. Like nobody's from here, but everybody's
there
here.
are people that stay in little pockets form. It's like drops.
Yeah.
It's like drops of water on a spider web.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And we're creating it's truly watching history in real time, because every city has gone through this historically, right? I mean, New York was boroughs of just like little cultural demographic isolations until everything crossed. So, I mean, we're all going through that, but we in Charlotte are experiencing it in real time. And so it's hard. You can't look backwards at it. We have to experience it in the moment.
Okay. Amused Bouche. So do you have a specialization at all, or is it any kind of restaurant? Do you focus like a little bit on pizza for a couple episodes, or sometimes breweries?
Yes.
So tell me what you like. What's the
so Amused Bouche is a food and comedy podcast. So it's kind of both sides of it. Food is not only those at restaurants and in the industry that are serving free, but it's also food you make at home. Jen and I are not chefs. So we like to cook ourselves and experiment with things, but we're going to like find a recipe like you would on the internet and do something. So we try and do the full picture of what it is to experience food. And so that is not only making it yourself and making it with friends and talking about hot takes that you have or food opinions that you have that you can change your mind about, and reading Yelp reviews. Like we do that in character sometimes, and we've since kind of moved away from that. But like we have a lot of fun with ourselves. So we challenge each other. We do like Iron Chef kind of secret ingredient battles or themed battles. One of our more recent ones was Battle Movie Magic, where each of us picked a movie and made food based on it. So like I was growing tomatoes, so I made fried green tomatoes out of my own garden because I love that. It's one of my favorite movies. So like it was a lot, So
and
we have a lot of fun.
Dish. It's a nice crisp.
Yeah, those are good themes.
So good.
Do you have seasons, or do you just do whatever you feel like?
We do have seasons. Yeah. So our general seasons start in February. So we take like a winter break for like late December and January, and then we start back up again in February. So we're in our third season now. Okay. Because we started during the pandemic, and so we're rocking and rolling. But yes, so we not only are we doing stuff on our own and with our friends, but we're also interviewing chefs and restaurateurs. And we're just reaching out and talking to people. What we're getting the most of is like when we meet somebody by chance, they tell us about somebody else and they connect us, and then we follow those strings as they go. So that's how we met.
That's how you find out the best restaurants.
Yes,
too.
Absolutely. And half the time we literally just see someone on Instagram. We saw Fudobuda, which is an amazing ramen shop in South End, posted
Okay.
about this amazing sake pairing that they had, their new sake menu, which was cultivated by Sarah Guderbach. And we thought, that's a cool job. And we sent her a message, and she came on, and then she connected us to Sam Hart and Robin Anthony and all of these amazing chefs around Charlotte.
Wonderful.
And so, like, it is just such an experience. This is such a tight knit community because it is still very small.
Really?
So it's amazing.
So you sort of infiltrated the chef community, like it's like
Yeah.
with anything.
Well, not infiltrated, was welcome.
No, I love that. No, I definitely infiltrated.
fine.
I don't mean it in a bad way, but I
Look
just
at how
think
innocent I look. That'd be like a great spy.
Yeah, I know you would.
that's the thing. Cute young girls can get anywhere because
That's right.
anybody
they
just
can
lets
just
them in,
slide
and
a
then
knife
they.
between your ribs. You're never gonna know, and you're
I
gonna say
know.
thank you.
That's it. Exactly. That's
Yeah.
that's my specialty. So, but yeah, so I mean, it's anywhere, it's anything. We'd love to talk to people. We're looking to talk to people about, we want to do more experiences. So like we want to go to like a goat farm to like play with baby goats and then talk about their cheese and like milk.
Okay.
And, I want to go, so one of our amazing chefs who's a private home chef, Will Phillips, he has an amazing episode, or I think it's a 2-parter.
Yeah.
He is like a certified mushroom forager. So we want to go forage with him this fall.
Yes.
Oh,
Right?
that's
There's
cool.
just so
Yes.
much. There's so much to do and see and
Yes.
experience.
A
But I
fresh
will
morels.
say, yeah,
Oh.
I'll have to get, we're in an interesting time right now with Amused Bouche where we have really cultivated this reputation with the industry. So a lot of our core listeners are in the industry. They're chefs, they're restaurateurs, they're
that's
bartenders,
wonderful.
which is really cool.
Yeah.
I would still love for there to also be like charlatans
wider,
listening.
yeah.
Right.
But-
Yeah.
But that's, we haven't quite hit critical mass on that side of things, but it's really cool that we have respect from the people that we really want to do right by.
Yeah.
So I'm really pleased with that.
Well, it's so neat because the whole community you probably weren't really aware of or know much about until you started this. I mean, you've like infiltrated the comedy community with your improv class, and then there's all these communities that all make up one big community.
Yes.
But I think getting to know them, like that's fascinating to me, the groups of people that like-minded that stick together about things. So let me ask you what my 2 things that I'm interested in, what I've almost started a podcast about. Well, my 3 things, I guess, besides beer. I'll do the other 2. It's pizza and wings. And I'm a bare bones blue collar guy, not white collar. Blue collar guy that loves pizza and wings. So what's the best pizza and what's the best wings?
All right. So now this is where it gets a little funny because people have opinions about like types of pizza, types of whatever. But like, okay,
whatever.
so everybody's loving Bird Pizzeria, which is down in like the Villa Heights, kind of Octopus Hall area. Definitely worth checking out. You'd probably be into that.
Bird Pizzeria.
Bird Pizzeria.
What's the story of it? Like, is it New York style or what?
It is. So it is a like a quick, like charred kind of fast pizza. So it's not truly Napolitana because I don't think they're cooking it on like a Napoli's type of oven. But like there are other places you can get that, like Ava. But it just high quality ingredients. This is, I believe, a husband and wife couple. So we're gonna interview them. We haven't yet, but they've been recommended to us for some other folks.
Okay.
So that is definitely some good pizza.
Okay.
I how I say like pizza's like you're good, even bad pizza is good pizza. Like I definitely feel that way about things, but there are definitely like, I'm a big fan of Sal's Pizza Factory, the Sicilian, the grandma's vodka pizza at Sal's is my jam. The problem is you can only get it in a box that's literally as big as the frame here.
Nothing wrong with that.
I know, no problem, right? So I particularly have a grandma one, and then they have a grandma's vodka. I love the grandma's vodka. That's literally a vodka sauce on it with like these fresh mozzarella pieces. It's amazing. That's mine. And it's got like a cracker crust.
I've passed there so many times just wondering. I bet that's a good pizza place.
Get in there.
It's
in there.
like
no, just do
not
that,
the best part of town, but it's like
no, it's worth it. It's so worth it. So Sal's, that pizza is my jam. I love that pizza for sure.
I can't tell you how much you're helping me because part of the thing is like, I'm like, there's no good pizza in Charlotte, but that's not true. I'm like on the mission. I just told my buddy who drinks at the bar with me. He just moved from South Florida. So South Florida, they have everything, every kind of menu you could. And my thing is like Charlotte could be that someday because everyone's moving here like they were there.
It will be because Florida will sink.
Yeah, Florida's going to be. Yeah,
they're all coming here anyway.
Exactly.
Might as well just cut it off at this point with what they're doing with all the everything. Like DeSantis and everybody can just go ahead.
Fuck right off.
Just fuck right off. So so I told him, like, we're once a month. We don't even have to make it that frequently. Once a month, we're going to a new pizza place in Charlotte because I just went to the Protagonist.
Yeah, I love Protagonists. Yeah,
their pizza's delicious, and they're sliced.
And they use like the yeast. They use like the water for their pizza, I think, from their beer situation too.
That's what they said.
Cool.
Yeah, it's like filtered water from their whatever. But I was like, that's a great thing. And their pizza's the size of your head.
Yeah,
the slices are so. So I told him we got to start with Protagonist, but we're gonna go to Sal's next.
Yeah.
Because
that's gonna make me happy. And I will warn you a little bit if you want to get other slices from Sal's, because you could serve like single slices too. They have a whole thing.
Yeah.
But they really load the ingredients. So like I got like a veggie pizza and it heaved under the weight. So I'm like, I would say like light toppings, which is a weird thing to say because normally I'm like, do it, but I'm like, oh no, there's like 6 pieces of broccoli on top of one another here.
Okay,
like, I'm into it, but also even for me, it's a little too much. So
architecturally intriguing, but
architecturally intriguing,
unsound because you pick it up and everything falls.
Gotcha,
so,
yes.
but go light toppings and you should be fine. So, but yeah, Sal's is great. Wings. That's such an interesting question. I used to say that my favorite wings were at Legion at Plaza Midway.
Okay, yeah.
They have changed the recipe, and I don't love them anymore, and I'm sad. I'm really sad about it.
That's sad when something you love goes away. And
and I like told everybody about them, so I'm just like, oh no, they're not the same. And I keep getting them in the hopes that they're going to be better, and I'm just like, they're not the same. It's not the same recipe. Something's changed about it. I'll have to send them a message.
Same with Juicy J. That's my problem with Juicy J. When I was listening to your Legion episode, I was like, I want to get to the bottom. Juicy J was my favorite beer of all time. It's like I can always rely on that. And it's funny, they mentioned the lady who invented Juicy J, and she left and now sells them hops or whatever.
Yeah.
Supposedly the story was she took her recipe, didn't quite tell everybody exactly what she was doing, so they can't make Juicy J the way they used to. And she's smart not to do it. I mean, she's but I don't care where she makes it. Make that fucking beer, lady.
Just give me my beer. Yeah. That is one of the OG like favorite beers of Charlotte.
Yeah,
for sure.
It really
Juicy
was.
J is a flag bearer. So yeah,
so
wings.
the wing place. Are
Jen
you gonna say
tell me what I was
I was gonna say everybody says it's the I forget the name of that place. It's Korean wings.
Banchan?
No,
Soul Food.
Soul, yeah.
So I really like Soul's wings. I like Korean fried chicken. So for me, that's like I want that bite. I want the crunch. So I'm a big fan. I also love how they're spicy. Like give me that, because I love a buffalo flavor, but it's nice to have something that's a little different. And so yes, I'm into it. And if you haven't tried them, get into it. Give them a shot. Yep. Banchan is another place that sells them that are different. That's also a chain, obviously trying local wherever we can. But so Jen is also like loves wings. She is a huge fan of wings. We had some pretty good wings recently at Burton's.
Burton's.
They have pretty good wings. We actually had some really good ones there recently. Enrico's in Steel Creek. Jen lives near there and has been like, wow, these are pretty good wings for that place. DD Pecker's is a pretty popular place. I used to live in South Charlotte, so I used to go to DD Pecker's a lot for wings because they have a lot of variety. But wings are very polarizing. I used to love Anthony's Caribbean Grill. Had some, and they weren't jerk or anything. They had this, I don't even know what they were, but they were amazing.
Really?
And they used to be in Elizabeth, and I used to get them there, and they've moved that location. So I don't even know. I think they have one in University, but Anthony's, Tony's, Anthony's. They have my favorite wings ever.
That's their last name, right? Is the family? It's like a family.
I think so. Yeah. I need to. That's another. So there's such a long list that we have to get through here. And what I really want to do too, what we're looking for, and I would love to do this with you, Joe, too, is like this coming season, we're really planning to go out to dinner with people and talk about why is this your go-to place for X.
Nice.
So we're gonna be doing some of those with some locally famous Charlotte folks, but also like just people we know and just have a good time. So we'd love to have you come along too. It'd be super fun.
I really want to figure out how to do either a restaurant or beer or pizza, something. Like I want to try all the pizzas. I want to try all the beers.
Come into the fold here and take part, because please don't compete with us. We'll wipe the floor with you. So just join us.
No, not a competition, but just like I just want to like
tree.
Well, I've always wanted to come up with like we were just talking about this last night at the bar. I was like, we need to come up with like a pizza rating system.
Yes.
But not typical, not just like thin. like it's got to be like 5 things. It's got to be like, and I almost started a wing podcast, but way before you guys were doing yours.
Yeah.
The same guy who made me watch women's soccer, we started going to wing places at within. We both worked at Blumenthal, so it was like the rule was we had to be able to walk from the office.
So Fuel Pizza, like
but there was like Wild Wing Cafe, and there was like there was some that was like, I mean, we'll walk a few blocks. I mean, as long as we can get there in 20 minutes and 20 minutes back, because we took long lunches. But we were like, there's got to be a rating system, like within like part of the rating is like, do they automatically bring you wet naps, or do you have to ask for wet naps? Like,
what a great one.
That's a point. If they don't, can you mix and match your sauces, or do you only get one sauce?
You have to have 6 or 12 or something.
Like some of that's got to weigh in even before taste or flavor or anything. It's like there's some things, if you're gonna serve wings, you gotta be, you gotta be a place I want to come.
I like that.
So we kind of dropped it when we did that, but we went to like, I think it was Wild Wing Cafe at the Epicenter before the Epicenter like was destroyed and awful, but it was close to being awful, and it was like they just closed down too. Yeah, they did, and they should have, because they had an all-you-can-eat wing bar, and it was like this shit was sitting here all day under lamps.
Let me tell you, Joe. So I've been holding on to this since you've asked, but because you're such a wing nut. So one of my signature dishes is a very particular, like a strawberry chipotle wing with an avocado blue cheese cream dipping sauce. And it's amazing. And I will love to make them for you sometime. So we'll arrange that for sure.
Yes, please.
And so that's the one thought. Please. So again, like I like to eat food out, but then there's some things I'm like, I'm really good.
You go home and make stuff.
I just make wings most of the time. So like when I have parties, like I make wings for people. And so I have trays of wings that are just like drying out so they get nice and crispy. And I do them in the oven so it's easy. It's so crispy, so it works. But okay, so that's one thought. The other thought that I had is another podcast you would really enjoy is probably the Friendship Onion. Have you listened to this?
No.
Okay, so they actually
subscribe right now.
They are on hiatus, so it's one of those that's like it kind of has ended, but maybe I can
catch up though.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's Dominic Monaghan and Billy Boyd, who were 2 of the hobbits in the Lord of the Rings. They were Merry and Pippin.
Yeah.
So they have this friendship podcast that they're doing where they just talk about a bunch of stuff, but one of their segments is Billy and Dom Eat the World. And in it, they have like a very fascinating rating system where it's just like aesthetics, usefulness, like, like that kind of thing. So it's really funny to listen to them rate like that. So it triggered for me when you were talking about that. And I think you really enjoy it.
Yes, thank you. I love podcast recommendations. I want to listen to them all. But love it. And while we're talking about podcasts, if you haven't listened to Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, he did a special. We were just talking about he did a special series within it where they read the Lost Hans and Franz movie script. So we had Dana Carvey and Kevin Nealon on there and Rob Smigel, and they talked about like when they wrote it in 1991 and it didn't get made, but they were just laughing their asses off, reading their script from the 90s and just having a good time. It was just a great little series. But so I'm just telling everybody that. So I
love that. But
it's been forever. We've been on here for a long time. Thank you for
I'm a 3-parter. That's what I'm saying.
Three's a good number.
Abigail Elfman. So are we friends? Should we stay friends? Are we real friends?
I don't think you can get rid of me anytime soon, Joe. You are such a delight, and I've just loved working with you, and I'm so glad this is a good way for us to stay reconnecting.
Yes, and now I'm so glad I know so much about you. So next time I see you, I can just drop so many knowledge things about, your high school and the kid with rabies. So sadly that died. And then now my best friend Steve, the Gruffmeister.
It's nice to meet you.
You too.
And so if you ever need any weed, he can hook you up. But I mean, it's like Mikasa Sugas. He's my friend, so he's gonna be your friend. But
solid.
Are you gonna be in the Queen City Comedy Experience this year? Are you
I don't have. So it always happens around my birthday, and I'm also moving that same time. I'll probably pop in to see some shows, but I probably will not be.
Yeah, that's
I'm
right.
not
plan
to be
birthday.
in any.
Yeah. Well, I hope I see you there. I hope I see you.
I think I'm gonna
go.
I'll at least. I think I'm targeting to go to one of the Beerly Funny productions because the friend Hillary Staples is going to be in one of the shows. So
okay,
that. So if I'll send you some messages. We'll stay more in touch, and I'll let you know when I'm up and around and see. If we can say hi.
Definitely. And I love the podcast. So we need to do I still want to do a local podcast festival at some point.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah,
I would love that.
Thank you so much for your time. Have a safe drive tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing this. This will come out sometime in 2027.
Exactly. I'll forget everything I ever said.
No, sometime before that, I think, but we haven't.
Yeah. Well,
Thanks.
it's all super fun. It's been just a pleasure to catch up with you and get to know Steve. So
Thank you.
Gruff, yes.
It's been fun meeting you. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks for doing this. I'm going to end this now, and we can all go about our lives.
I was going to say, now it's time to get depressed because tomorrow is Monday and we have to go back to work.
Yeah, it's fucking Monday. Why don't we do this on Sunday?
I can't believe I accepted this at 8:30 on a Sunday night.
No.
You're the only person I would have done this for, Joe. So.
I appreciate that. Go. Abby Elfman is the best. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Abby.
Thank you.
We're friends. Friendship.
I can't wait for Friday night, so I can go out on the weekend and ruin my life. I'm on my drink and drive and crash my car. I tell the policeman that I'm a star. Yeah, 'cause you and me, we're birds of a feather. Yeah, we only like the bands who worship the devil. Yeah, you like to drink the blood of the goat. Now, baby, I can tell. So take my hand, let me lead you down the hell. Yeah.
Matt Truman Ego Trip is the greatest band of all time. Buy their music.